Hey, what's up everybody? Commander Radix here bringing you another video, another review of an Energon Universe book. If you don't know, I've been doing little reviews of each Energon Universe trade paperback that comes out. I've been reading the Energon Universe basically trade by trade. So I reviewed Void Rivals Volume 1, Transformers Volume 1, Duke, and now we're reviewing the fourth book. It's more of impressions, thoughts. I'm not really trying to be too analytical here, but we're talking about Cobra Commander, Determined to Rule the World, written by Joshua Williamson. So Cobra Commander deals with Cobra Commander. He's the main focus of the book, and I quite like the character of Cobra Commander, so I have some thoughts about the character of Cobra Commander. It's also set in the Energon Universe, so it's also going to have connections to Transformers and to other G.I. Joe books. And you know how I am with G.I. Joe, how picky I can get with G.I. Joe. But yeah, let's just get into this. I haven't recorded a video in a while, so I'm a little bit out of the groove, so if I sound weird or if I'm just distracted, please forgive me. Cobra Commander, the book Cobra Commander, focuses on the story of Cobra Commander. He is a human that apparently left society because, I don't know, the West has fallen, millions must die. And he went off and joined an isolated society of other creatures called Cobra-la. Somewhere in the cold north. Maybe the North Pole, maybe Canada, maybe somewhere, I don't know. So let's start with Cobra-la. You guys know how I feel about G.I. Joe, how I like more realistic G.I. Joe, at least G.I. Joe that isn't too realistic, but relatively speaking more realistic. Cobra-la falls under the category of one of those things that I feel is too cartoony under the usual circumstances. I'm not usually a fan of Cobra-la. I really like how Cobra-la is used in the IDW Hasbro universe, where Cobra-la is kind of a cult of humans, and Globulus is like this god thing that Serpentor is channeling. I like that. That's a little bit more realistic. Please don't misinterpret what I mean by that. I guess I'm very used to the idea of Transformers, of the Autobots, Decepticons arriving on Earth, and Earth is being, flabbergasted by these huge alien races that are fighting a war on Earth, and they're surprised. And I'm not used to the idea that these humans that are shocked about the Transformers are also living on a planet, and have always lived on a planet, that have a race of weird snake people and all that. I realize that that is applicable to the Sunbow cartoon universe, but I don't know, I'm not usually a fan of Cobra-la. In this book, Cobra-la was okay. I still have some questions, though. They mentioned that they've been isolated from the outside world for too long. Well, what do you mean too long? Was there a time where Cobra-la and humanity interacted? Who are these Cobra-la people? Are they literally just snake people who just happen to live on Earth? Sort of like in the cartoon way of just, yeah, there's these snake people. We want me to explain it? It's snake people on Earth. What do you mean? I wish there would be an explanation about where these Cobra-la people come from, where their beasts come from. But anyway, Cobra Commander, before he becomes Cobra Commander, ends up finding Cobra-la, is taken in by Cobra-la, and Cobra-la is a very anti-science society, despite the fact that they clearly have things like mechanical doors, but whatever. But they're very anti-science, very anti-metal, and Cobra Commander, coming from the human world, from a post-industrialization human world, is very much into science and mechanics and stuff like that. And he sort of serves as the science officer to Cobra-la for a while, although he seems to have his own schemes as well. Which brings us to the Ark crashing down, Megatron getting thrown out of the Ark and crashing. Megatron gets captured by Cobra-la and is experimented on, researched upon in Cobra Commander's base inside Cobra-la. And it's implied that he's keeping a lot of secrets about Megatron from the Cobra-la government under Globulus. Globulus. Which is good, and I don't remember if it was in Transformers Volume 1, I forget how long ago the Ark crashed on Earth, because I was under the impression that the Ark crash must have happened like relatively recently in the Transformers, in the Energon Universe. I think the war has only been going on for like a few hundred years. I think 200 years, actually, if I remember correctly. So the arc landing on Earth had to have been relatively recent. So which makes me wonder how recent it was that Cobra Commander's been working on Megatron. How recent it was that Cobra Commander's been part of Cobra-la. But anyway, in experimenting on Megatron, the people of Cobra-la get upset that he's brought in a machine into Cobra-la. They rebel. Cobra Commander gets damaged. But Cobra Commander eventually explains himself to Globulus that Megatron is running off of Energon, and Energon is a very important power source, and that Cobra-la needs to get Energon for itself. So Globulus sends Cobra Commander out on a quest to find Energon, with Nemesis sort of serving as his protector. Now, in his quest for Energon, Cobra Commander is tortured by the Dreadnoks in the Florida Everglades because for some reason there's Energon in the Florida Everglades. That wasn't really explained. He eventually is going to get a source of Energon. Nemesis is going to reveal that Cobra-la's plan was to kill Cobra Commander, so Cobra Commander seemingly kills Nemesis in self-defense, and now he's sort of at war with Cobra-la. And so, with the Energon, and the Dreadnoughts network of where they sell weapons to, Energon-based weapons to, Cobra Commander is able to amass an army, right? He's able to recruit and start Cobra, which includes Destro and M.A.R.S. Industries, which we saw from Duke. No one gets half the battle. And then at the very end, Megatron escapes from Cobra-la. And I should add that I also read the Transformers story in the Energon Universe special after reading Cobra Commander, just sort of as an epilogue. From what I understand, that story hasn't been said to be collected in any volume that's coming out yet, so I'm reading it with Cobra Commander Volume 1, where we see Megatron escape from Cobra-la. He gets his non-canon arm back, and he escapes from Cobra-la into the ice, which I think we see him in the ice in a scene in Transformers, so there's sort of an overlap with the timeline here. Anyway, that's just the general outline of the plot. Let's talk more about some things. Energon. Why is Energon in the Everglades? That seemed weird to me. Dreadnoks were done very well. I liked how the Dreadnoks were done in this book. Destro helped fit in the continuity between Cobra Commander and Duke. Megatron was used well. Megatron felt very threatening. This is our first book in the Energon universe where Megatron is doing things and not just looming ominously in a panel in the background or something. And Megatron was pretty scary. Megatron was pretty evil, and I liked that. As for Cobra Commander himself, now I like the usual comic approach of us not knowing much about Cobra Commander. I like the idea of Cobra Commander being a human. I like the idea of Cobra Commander being disgruntled with society. This book managed to take both the general comic approach to Cobra Commander as a disgruntled human with society, but also kind of mysterious, and he still is mysterious, and combining it with the cartoon origin of him being a snake man of Cobra-la. In this book, he is a human that was taken in by Cobra-la, and I actually like that. I don't think it contradicts the parts that I like about the human story of Cobra Commander. So, yeah, it actually went pretty well. His design, he likes to pull from designs like from the old Snake part of the Transformers cartoon. He has the classic Cobra Commander uniform. He even has a uniform at some point that looks very much like the original IDW Hasbro Universe Cobra Commander, which is one of my favorite Cobra Commander uniforms, where it's just the dome, right? And there's no helmet on top. But when he does have the helmet on top, it looks good. It looks beautiful. He has the cape and the scepter. That is my favorite Cobra Commander look. And thankfully, at no point does the stupid cloth rag uniform show up, because I'm not a fan of that design. The KKK Imperial Wizard design. I don't like that. Cobra as an organization being formed seems really... I really like how it was formed. I like it when there are parallels to the IDW Hasbro Universe, especially the earlier IDW Hasbro Universe. There's this moment where Cobra-la learns about Cybertron. They see the memories of Megatron about the Cybertronian War, and they're like, this is the complete opposite of us. They are just machines and are fighting each other. And then, like, they decide to go on a mission to destroy Cybertron, and they send off, like, one ship. At least that's what it looked like from the art to me. Maybe I need to look back on it, but it looks like they just sent out like one ship with like a small party of Cobra-la warriors to go destroy Cybertron or something. Which does give me some First Strike vibes from the IDW Hasbro universe. And First Strike had its ups and downs, but I do like the concept of an invasion of Cybertron by a non-Cybertronian entity, by a Earth-based entity, actually. But so I'm curious to see where that storyline goes, but based on just the panel I saw of the ship going off, which, by the way, that means the Cobra-la are a spacefaring society, I have so many questions about Cobra-la. It's insane. But yeah, I don't expect them to be that successful with their attack on Cybertron, especially from what we know from Void Rivals, that Shockwave has basically, and the Decepticons have full control over Cybertron. Although he does mention all the Decepticons are in stasis lock, or most of the Decepticons are in stasis lock on Cybertron because there's no Energon. So you know what, maybe Cobra-la will be able to take over Cybertron, I guess. I liked how there's this gradual escalation of technology through the use of Energon in the G.I. Joe section of the Energon Universe. I like that when Destro and his M.A.R.S forces arrive in the city that, or in the town Cobra Commander tells him to meet up with, and Cobra starts shooting them down with lasers, Destro says, "Lasers?" Like, Destro's like, "We're shooting each other with lasers now?" And while I like lasers to a limited degree, I do think bullets need to remain. I don't want all bulleted guns. I don't want all guns that use bullets or all missiles and all rockets to be replaced with laser guns and laser cannons in G.I. Joe. I like the normal guns. We can have our lasers, but let's keep our bullets too, you know? But I like that recognition of now there are lasers here. It reminds me of the G1 cartoon where, like, lasers started, they make a point, like, in episode 4 or something, or 5 or whatever, after the More Than Meets the Eye story, to just mention that now, because of Cybertronian cooperation with mankind can use lasers. Even though G.I. Joe takes place before that, and in G.I. Joe they're clearly using lasers. Anyway. But overall, I really enjoyed Cobra Commander. I really loved the characterization of Cobra Commander. I loved how the world continues to be fleshed out in the Energon Universe. I'm thinking of maybe doing story time Energon Universe lore videos, volume by volume, in addition to these sort of review series. Let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. But yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode. If you enjoyed my content, if you enjoy me, then consider subscribing to the channel, checking out the social media links in the description, and checking out my second channel, Radix the Lore Keeper, where we talk about history, mythology, real-life lore, philosophy. Our first new episode of history and lore on the Radix and Lore episode, on the Radix and Lore channel, has probably come out by the time this video is out, so please consider checking that out. And thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.
Susan's on the frenzy and Jeff is on the coke.